Sorry, I muted myself. Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. And welcome back to another RSG Lunch Stream. I'm Ranger J 1999. Welcome one and all, boys and girls of all ages, to this stream. Joining me, as always, is my heterosexual life mate, Dr. Finn, Medicine Woman. Dr. Finn, how's it going today, buddy?
I feel much more refreshed than yesterday, but man, am I still tired.
Yeah, you've been working some serious hours, brother.
Yeah, but luckily it's done now. So
Right.
starting today, once I complete a few tasks here for work during the day, I'm good.
Yep, you'll be all caught up, and then you can kind of, dick off a little bit. So
I plan on doing it tonight, just so you know.
I know.
There's a chance for a gaming stream later tonight with either Diablo 3 or Borderlands or something, but there's a chance that there will be gaming happening tonight.
Sure. That's totally fine. But welcome one and all to the chat. I think we should start off by seeing if I get my shards from my ship. Let me just see. It's kind of become a thing, Finn. So let's see if we can get it. All right. So let me look for Millennium Falcon. Let me see. Let's see here. We're doing the Demornian thing. We're doing one at a time. So let's see how many ideas. So because yesterday I think I got one, right?
I think so.
Yeah. Let's see what happens. Okay.
I don't know if you saw, by the way, Ranger. YouTube added a new feature. So when you do a live stream now, it saves the chat.
Yes, I do know about that. That's pretty amazing.
You can save the chat. It's so awesome. I came back, so I ended up I was listening while doing work yesterday and then kind of fell asleep. And then I woke up and I'm like, wait, why is the chat still here? And I can't type in it. And it's just like scrolling through the chat as you're doing it. So all the people that are saying ridiculous, stupid things in the chat now, it is recorded for posterity.
Word. All right, I got one shard. One shard of the old Falcon. Let's try the Reaper. Let's see how we do on the Reaper, Finn. All right, here we go, Finn. Let's see what we get here. Okay, nothing. And let's see, we get nothing again. Third time. Third time's the charm usually. We got one. There we go. Come on.
We're on a roll.
We're on a roll. Come on. Two in a row, Finn. Two in a row. Two Reapers. Only two Reapers. All right, so we only got 2 and 1. Okay, well, that's the daily occurrence. That's what we like to do. I did, but it was nice doing the multi-sim on the credit highs. I'm like, okay, give me my 5 million.
You should buy some ship packs.
No, I'm not buying crap anymore. If you guys didn't watch the stream last night, I'm not buying crap in this game anymore until they fix some major stuff in this game because I've just had it. And I'm not a Kraken. I'm a mini whale. I do buy packs. I've bought a lot of packs, chromiums and stuff on the stream itself, and I've even invested a little bit here lately, but I'm done. I'm free to play right now. We just got a new sponsor, Chris Wascom. Well, thank you, Chris. Thank you for sponsoring. Very nice. If you guys know, this sponsor button is up top, $4.99 a month. You get the cool little emoji or the icon next to your name. You get free extra emojis. You get VIP status. You get full access to us. All the good stuff that comes along with it. You also have the super chat function.
That name is super familiar.
Why?
I know the name, but I feel like we know who it is if we knew his handle in game.
Chris Wascom? I'm not familiar with it.
I know I've seen that name.
I don't know. Long-time listener, first time I've been able to donate. Well, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Really
thank
appreciate
you, Chris.
It. Yes, thank you, Chris.
I know I recognize your name. Now I have to try and remember. I think you've been on our Discord too.
It's hard to keep track, guys. If you have questions for me and Finn, the best thing you can do is, because a lot of times Finn's better at it than me because I'm usually running around doing other stuff with my head cut off, like school and stuff. We try to participate in as much as we can in VIP and Discord. But if you have something for us directly, just message us. We always respond to any of our messages in Discord, and this is the best way to do it, because a lot of time people will put something in. General, unless you say @Ranger, and even then I have to scroll back up and look for it because there's so much stuff. But just be aware, we're over. We got so many people in Discord. It's pretty amazing, Finn, how big the Discord's gotten.
Yeah, I know. And it's not like too big to the point where we're like, we can't interact or we don't know people. I think we're at a really good size right
We
now. And we're
are.
growing at a good rate that we all kind of know each other.
Mhm.
Everybody has conversations with each other. I really like the way our Discord is right now.
But one day, fan hookers and blow. That's all.
There'll be a whole channel dedicated for that in the Discord.
All right, me and Finn will be high. Just streaming, going, all right, Finn. But yes, I'm not paying for this crap anymore. And reading the forums, there are a lot of pissed off people right now, Finn. And let's get into this why. Because, you know, they still have not addressed the territory wars issue. I'm not ranting about that again. Blocks and faces. What? Shut up. Blizzard. Well, allow access, but I didn't do anything with Blizzard.
They want you to play Diablo 3. That's what
I guess.
It knows. It knows.
Well, access. I didn't click anything.
Ali Boba's question, Rant or Twinkie? We're going with the Rant today.
Well, okay, stupid Blizzard, get off my screen. I said allow access and it won't. Jesus.
This is a sign. This is a sign that Blizzard wants to buy Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes.
I mean, my God, look at that. It just popped right up, man.
I know. Like Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, EA is in trouble. Blizzard here to save the day.
I said allow access. What's wrong with you? Go away. Jesus. But you know, this exposed thing has really got my ass chapped, Finn. I mean, we were talking about this, you know. So the Stormtrooper haunt thing for the raid, I get it, right? But this exposed dilemma that they've decided to, you know, change, nerf, whatever. I just don't understand it. You know, and I was going through just the facts. You know, the facts are the expose, you know, they said it for all raids. They've been looking at it for a while. Well, really? Because you sure didn't say anything about it when it was the Rancor and Heroic AAT only. New raid comes out, and a couple guilds have beaten Heroic. And by a couple, I mean just the top 0.00000000001 of the community has beaten the Heroic raid already. If you don't expect that from those kind of guys, then I don't know what to tell you, CG. They're going to do stuff like that. Because why? They've invested a fortune in this game. They have full rosters, and they're just brilliant. I know. I've been in those guilds. And they just are incredibly good at theorcrafting. When they figure something out, they just lynch onto it. Now, the Stormtrooper haunt thing, I think you and me, Finn, both agree that had to be changed, right? That one,
agreed.
Yeah, that was a little, a little out of control. But this exposed nerf across, you know, and they're so ambiguous with the term, so we're just slightly for the other raids. What the hell does that mean? You got to be more, you know, specific, and they're not being specific, you know. The fact that only that many guilds have beaten Heroic, but then, you know, you got guilds like me. We're at 140, almost 141 GP. I think we're going to try Heroic, but, you know, when they say exposed, let's just be blatantly obvious what they're talking about, JTR. Which really pisses me off because if you think about it, okay, so people are beating tier 6. It's not like the rewards are fantastic or anything, but Heroic. You can only use JTR in one of the 4 phases, and you can't even clear the phase. So I don't know what data you're looking at, but most guilds, they ain't doing that. Because it ain't a resistance team with Zeta Finn that's going in there and kicking butt. But now you're going to just nerf that one, because that's going to be part of the exposed, you know, thing as well. So Heroic AT and other things could have a major impact on. The hassle it takes just in time invested, and I know I invested money into getting JTR. Because I bought those packs, because I was not going to have Han and Chewie in time to do that. So the fact that you've now taken something that I've invested money in and just crapped all over it and saying, well, you know, sorry, but no, it's just ludicrous. I don't know what they're doing. I don't, you know, they say it's for, you know, whatever reasons they gave in the forums, which I think is just total garbage. I feel bad for Rydiggs in the sense that he's got a tough gig. I would not want, I mean, I would love to have that position because I'd just be blatant obvious. You know, me and you, Finn, as community managers would be like, we would just say what we say, man. We're not hiding anything.
We need money to keep this game alive. What the hell do you expect?
Yeah, like, we would just be blatant, like, yeah, this is why we did it. I mean, I would be truthful as hell, and they'd be like, oh, no, you can't do that. Yeah, I can. It's called being transparent. Fans like that crap. They may not like the answer, but if you're transparent as hell, they love that a hell lot more than PC answers. I can tell you that much. Because I'm reading the forums, man, and you've been reading the forums too. God bless. Rydiggs is trying, but he's just getting slaughtered in the forums right now. Because you just can't win, because it's just not a good move. You know, some of the stuff makes sense, but then some of the stuff you're just like, they say something like, "No, Rydiggs, don't say that. Just don't say that." But the games, I mean, the stuff they're doing and the changes and the reasons just did not make sense. It's a bunch of baloney, and because of that, I am now free to play. Doesn't mean I'm not going to still play the game. No. And we're going to be here all the time, Finn, to hold their feet to the fire. That ain't changing. But, I mean, why would I invest? You know?
Yeah. And we disagreed a little bit when we were discussing before about the Jedi training Rey aspect of this.
That's fine. You know, that's cool.
I think it varies on what you're looking at. So I think one of the bigger problems is, if you remember when Heroic AAT came out, right? We all had kind of the general rule of trying to get your 2%, right? And you needed to like max out a specific team for the individual phases, and then you would get to like maybe 3%. Like if you hit 3%, you're like, yes, I help my guild because now I can cover in case somebody doesn't have all the gear and mods in order to get their 2%. Like 3% was a big deal.
Word.
What's happening with the Jedi training Rey is that you don't necessarily need all the people to get it, right? But if you go back to your 2%, like the 2% aspect, to make it like a guild event in order to beat a raid, Jedi training Rey was getting like 5%, 6% because it was a legendary character. And while I'm one of the few that got her and then didn't really invest much in her, most people did invest straight into Jedi training Rey. They invested into BB-8. They have them pretty much like gold gear, if not gear 11. Like they're ready to go with those teams. And so the reason why I'm not terribly upset, and this goes back to the discussion we had again, like I think it was 3 days ago, like on Monday. I'm not necessarily upset that they're changing Expose. It makes sense to me because you don't want a team this early to be able to do more than like 3-4%. That destroys kind of the game mechanic a little bit. It changes what you truly want to be end game content, right? You want end game content to be difficult. Now, where I have the problem is that Jedi training Rey isn't some rare squad. It's not a squad that you would be like, oh, I didn't think people would use this squad on a raid. I mean, It's like it was the prevalent meta. So it shouldn't have been released with this level of expose. That's where my problem comes in. If they came out with the Sith raid coming out and just said, yeah, expose is going to have reduced effects, right? Kind of like they do everything else. Like, you know, there's going to be like turn meter reductions. You can't use like Nihilus's cooldown reductions on bosses. And we know all these different restrictions. They put them all in place. How did a team like Jedi training Rey make it through any kind of testing, and you think, oh, expose is fine, and then players use it and it's like, oh, expose is too powerful? Like, there's no way if you did testing that you wouldn't know Jedi training Rey.
I know for a fact that this test with Jedi training Rey. You know, this wasn't shocking.
No, that's my problem. My problem is the fact that they let expose through. Stormtrooper Han, even that I can accept, because it is kind of a weird combination to use it with some other characters, get him with like unbreakable will, or if you isolate him and then you have him taunting, everything keeps attacking him.
We're not talking about
I can understand that more. Jedi training Rey is an entire faction not being tested to the point where you're like, oh, she is doing too much damage. Let's see how we can tweak it. That becomes the bigger issue. And they released it with that, and now they have to go back on it. And anytime you provide something to the community and then you try to pull back on it is when you get any kind of backlash. So you're getting that with Jedi training Rey. If you remember, that happened with the Rolo thing where they sent out the information to the game changers, which said you needed like 5 stars, and then all of a sudden they made it 7 stars, right? So they gave us that information about 5-star, and then they pulled it away. They've done this before where they give us too much, right, in terms of in-game content, not just communication. I'm talking about actually in-game. They give us something in-game and then they pull it away. And I consider content that they give to the game changers as in-game content because that's what they're promoting. So they just have to be much more careful about their testing, what they're releasing, because you can't do that. It is always better to provide too little in game. Like, oh, okay, this is a little bit too. Remember what they did with normal AAT? I think that was maybe the perfect thing, which is normal AAT was ridiculously hard. Yes, like there was a crazy amount of hit points to it, and everyone was complaining that it was too hard. But in the end, a lot of people in the community are like, yeah, well, this is end game content. It's not intended to be as easy as Rancor.
Right.
And so normal AAT people struggled with, and they were working at it. And then they're like, yeah, we're going to reduce the hit points. It's like, yay, CG is doing something nice for us. Instead of now, it's like, yay, CG is screwing us over again.
But I'm going to push back a little bit on the Jedi Train Raid team. Your points about the testing is spot on. I mean, 100%. I agree with you 1,000% on that. But here's the thing is, again, only like a handful of guilds have been heroic. And it's not just because they have JTR, it's other teams, right? It's your whole roster because it's even, I mean, yeah, tier 6, you can use it in multiple phases, right? However, it's a JTR team. The amount of time and effort invested in that is, you know, what it is. And part of the raid is she gets, what is it, CLS and Jedi Anakin and Grandmaster Yoda, they get bonuses and stuff, right? And then you're saying, well, nah. And you're assuming that, you know, like, not everybody has JTR. And the thing is exposed in itself, but it goes not just to this raid, Finn, they're doing it across all boards. And I'm just sitting there going, you know, your reasoning for doing it does not match up with why you're doing it. Because it just does not make sense. The exposed mechanic has been here for over a year. JTR just made it better, right? With Heroic Rancor and Heroic AAT. You know, people invest time and money into those teams because it makes it to where you can beat those things as part of the progression. Just because you come up with a Sith raid that JTR in tier 6 can be used multiple times and some guilds can beat it, is not a valid reason for me to change the exposed thing. It just does not make sense because in heroic, especially if you're aiming for heroic, you can only use her once. You still got to have the other roster and teams to go in and beat heroic. You know, just because a couple of top echelon guilds that have every tune, mod, and thing in the book did it does not necessarily mean, because that's what they do. That's their whole goal in life, is to try to beat it first time or as fast as possible. I mean, that's their goal. But you can't, just because a couple guilds beat it, if you look at the rest of the thousands of guilds out there, they're nowhere near it. You know? I mean, look at your guild, Tim. If you couldn't beat tier 6, you're on tier 5. No, it's a progression.
We went to tier 6 now because the tier 5 rewards are kind of crap. You're better off just going tier 6.
Yeah. So
you're not necessarily incorrect in what you would want. Now, here would be kind of my defense potentially for CG.
You're defending CG? My God, everybody.
To a small extent.
We're going to start calling you CG Finn.
I think the reason why it's affecting other raids is that they don't have a way to separate conditions on one raid versus another. They can do things on individual characters, right? Like they're doing with Traya. They can affect the way Traya reacts. But when you're trying to prevent characters from affecting your NPCs, I think all the raids are kind of working with the same rules. So if you look at like the buffs and the details, if you see, like, they're using that same, what's it called, Fearsome Foe 2 and Fearsome Foe 3 or whatever it is. Like, they're using the same buff that you would see on other characters. They didn't change Rancor when it came to AAT, so they created a new Fearsome Foe 2 and 3. It's possible they could have created a new, like, Fearsome 4 and 5 or something for the Sith raid, but they have already set it up to use 2 and 3. So what I'm thinking is happening is it's more a back-end coding issue that's causing the fact that it's going to affect the other raids, which is that they have to change the mechanic, but all of the raid mechanics on how turn meter is affecting it and how expose is going to affect it and how like detonators work on it. I think they're all coded with specific buffs that they're putting onto different NPCs. And right now they seem to be utilizing the same buff on heroic AAT that they are on Sith raid. Rancor is a little bit different because you can get the turn meter on the bosses still.
Well, yeah.
But you can't do it on heroic AAT.
No.
So I think the reason for it is more a coding aspect, not necessarily that they wanted to now, why they're not saying it, I don't know. If that is the reason, they could just come out and say it, and I think it would make more sense to people than just, we're going to affect all raids, because then it just looks really stupid.
But then they come back, like, well, it only slightly affect heroic and rancor. It's like, but what the hell does slightly mean? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I mean, you can't just say slightly, because people don't know what that means. What is your definition of slightly could be totally different than my definition of slightly. You know, that's a matter of perspective of what that term means. You know, it's too generalized. It's not well communicated. And my philosophy is, you don't nerf characters, you make bosses harder. You adjust the raid, not the characters in the raid. Other than certain situations like, a Xylo situation or a Stormtrooper Han situation. But even then, what did they do? They fixed the boss to where you can't do that crap, right? But then you do it for those situations. Then you go, but expose. Let's talk about expose. And by expose, we don't want to say JTR, but we mean JTR. So I mean, it's just ludicrous. I mean, and they still have not addressed the whole territory war disaster, man. I mean, it is a complete dumpster fire. I mean, holy moly in the frijoles, is that thing a disaster. I mean, CG, if your goal is, and I've been reading the forums and getting all kinds of messages from people, if your goal is to piss off the community, you're winning. Congratulations. They are furious,
Our territory war is so messed up now.
It is, and
it's not even the matchup fact. We have to place 30 on defense in each territory. That's
ridiculous.
We're a 117 million guild. 30 teams is like draining us, like completely draining us of everything. Like I don't know how much we have left. It's ridiculous. Like, you can't even put in like trash squads, because then you have like nothing left for offense. It's whatever they're using in order to scale this is awful. And I think you guys discussed it yesterday that it may be based on like a win-loss. That's why some of these dispatches are coming.
Yeah,
right?
That doesn't make sense either, but yeah.
Well, so if that's the case, right, if you're increasing the number of things that you have to put on in defense per territory based on a win-loss record, you're just screwing up like every single team. Well, I don't understand the logic behind, and this just goes back to the original discussion. Individually, a lot of these things would have been fine. The fact that they threw all of them in together is the stupidest thing they could have done.
Right.
That just means they don't want to critically think themselves, and they just want to be like, okay, the players are telling us to do
this. A lot of these changes are things that we've even recommended, right? But they're recommendations. But not together. Not all together, and test the crap. I mean, just because you come up with a good idea doesn't mean you should implement it. You got to test it, make sure it's viable, right? I can give Finn a great idea, but we still have to make sure that it works, right? You have to tweak it. You have to look at it. Is it really viable? I could say, Finn, we should add, blah blah blah, and he could say, okay, well let's test it out and see if it works, and let's see if it's even possible to do that. Okay, it's possible to do that. Well, let's test it. What's the test results? It's not working. Okay, let's go back to the drawing board and think of another way, right? So, I mean, it's oh my God. It's so frustrating. And, if it is based off win-loss ratio, that makes absolutely no sense. I was getting the analogies like, if you have a Division 2A school that goes undefeated, but then they have to go face Ohio State, who's having a bad year and they're 2-7, Ohio State's going to kill them. It's just a difference in talent. They have better players.
Happens. Well, I'll counter a little bit there. It does happen potentially in NCAA tournament. If somebody is like ridiculously good, they may get placed in. But in that case, they're getting money out of it.
Well, yeah, they're getting money out of it. We ain't getting money out of this.
We ain't getting money.
Yeah, we ain't getting money. I mean, well, I don't know. No, that ain't happening. But yeah, I mean, all the feedback I'm getting, it's horrifying, and it's sad because they are listening. And they've made some really great changes to the game. They've done some really good quality of life changes. But the raid stuff with the expose and stuff and this territory war debacle, holy moly. God, I can't pay for this. I'm not paying for this crap anymore. I just refuse. And someone said, well, yeah, but if Revan was launched... No, if Revan's launched, I would not buy it. Why would I invest? You know, I mean, I've invested in a crap ton of money up to this point, and now you're changing all kinds of crap, you know, based off data that you can't really explain and give, you know, ambivalent terms that, you know, it's so generalized that I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. Or our data shows. What does your data show? Don't just say my data shows. Break it down. You know?
I don't know if they break it down. That was my whole issue with the whole 2% thing to begin with.
Oh God. Just ridiculous. So let's just answer some questions, Finn.
All right. So the first question is from Ugnaughty, and the question is Hermit Yoda or Wampa?
Hermit Yoda.
Yeah. I would have said Wampa before the Sith raid, but after the Sith raid.
Hermit Yoda and Sith raid is pretty disgusting.
Yeah.
Oh, we just got $2 from Freedom. It says CG can suck my Richard.
Thank you, Ghost.
Who's Richard?
I know for it.
I know he's not. I'm kidding. Dilly.
Yeah. So there was somebody asking whether or not they're nerfing the stealth mechanic too, and it sounds like they're nerfing it for Traya fights though.
Yeah, just Traya fights. I mean, that's the other thing. So the stealth mechanic with zombie is not okay with the trade rate, but everywhere else it's fine. It's working as intended.
Yeah. So I was thinking, like, it seems like that team would be fantastic in phase 2, because you can just have everybody stealth, gaining that cycle of pain and suffering buff, so they're just doing like crazy amounts of damage, and then you have your zombie, the only one non-stealth, and everybody else's stealth just wailing away on Scion while he can't do anything. It seemed like a really good phase 2 squad. So
wrong.
And Scion doesn't have an AoE dispel like he does in has a dispel that could have stopped it. The Scion in the raid does not have an AoE dispel. He does have an AoE damage, but the damage removes turn meter per stack of cycle of pain and suffering. It's not, I mean, it does damage, but it's not increasing damage. So your guys can still survive.
Yeah.
And it actually leads a little bit to the next question. But I think it'll still work in phase 2 potentially.
Sure.
So going to phase 2, the question is from Corey Dowmeyer, and he says, Hermit Yoda, health and protection is recovery. Is it worth it?
Yes. He's a squishy little frog.
Yeah. I wouldn't go with 3 health sets though.
No, but
I would go speed and health. And then all like health
with
stats.
the stats being health protection, that would be your best bet, because he's really about getting your guys going and being able to survive. That's where you want to look at.
Yeah. Next question from Artorius Draknight. What do you guys think about a Rex lead, Emperor Palpatine, Mother Talzin, Nihilus, and General Kenobi for Arena?
What a team. Jesus. Rex Lead, Mother Talzin.
That's like one of the squads you accidentally put in Territory Wars on defense, because it's like the high power ones. You wouldn't get a Rex Lead though. You'd probably end up with like a Palpatine lead because of the Zetas.
Yeah, Rex Lead with Mother Talzin, Emperor Palpatine, General Kenobi, and who was the 5th?
Nihilus.
Nihilus? I can see that working.
Yeah, I mean, most things under a Rex lead would
very mismatch.
Yeah. You wouldn't have much synergy besides trying to get your team to go fast with Rex, and it's possible that it could work. But you're utilizing a bunch of characters that don't have a very good synergy necessarily with each other.
Yeah,
so
the Rex thing is you get turn meter for crit damage, correct? Every time you get a crit on you or something, that you get. Or
every time it's crit, then clones get turn meter and other people
get half that amount, right? But doesn't Kenobi counter that by?
Yeah, that's the problem. So you're not going to be crit.
So
it'll only be Kenobi getting hit. So if you fracture Kenobi, you're done.
Yeah.
Then like Nihilus. Well, so Emperor Palpatine is really squishy. So if your team isn't going fast enough, which if you're probably not with the Kenobi,
Yeah, the more I think
then
about it, I don't
your
like this
Emperor
team.
Palpatine's just going to get killed.
Yeah, I don't like this team at all.
Yeah, I mean, Mother Talzin is a nice addition to there.
Yeah, she's a great piece, but no,
she can be a sub-in for a lot of teams, but the problem is you're basing it on a Rex lead with the Kenobi.
Yeah.
And that your crit immunity is going to screw you.
Yeah. All right, next question.
All right, next question is from Two Fingers, and the question is: do you think they nerfed Expose in the raid because CG wants us to spend money on upcoming characters that will be good in the raid?
Yes. I mean, let's just be honest.
I agree, and I have zero issue with it.
No, if they want to make money, go for it. But if you think people are going to like it and want to spend money, the way you're going about it, you know, again, transparency goes a long way. But you know,
they shouldn't have released it with the Expose. Is the problem again? I have no issue with them releasing a raid, making it very difficult, making it hard for people to beat it, and then releasing characters that makes it easier to beat it in order to make money. That's actually a sound business practice.
Yeah.
You make something hard, let people struggle with it, let people figure it out, let people figure out with strategies. Sure. Maybe teams like TI, after they are able to get better mods, because you've made mods now easier to get, after they gear up a little bit more, they're like, okay, this is easier now, but we need like everybody to do everything in order to beat it. It's like, okay, that's a reasonable thing. They even released Visa Smar, who's pretty much awesome in this raid. She's going to turn out to be one of the all-stars in this Sith raid. Right. It's like, okay, here's a character for you that can help you out. And they could release another one next month and the month after. But the fact that they released one where you have already an in-game thing that does 6%, they should have nerfed this even before it came out.
Well, they just should have made the raid bosses just harder to hit with Expose. I mean, they've got that high tenacity. It's not like it always hits, too. But just making this a little bit more harder to hit with it. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
yeah,
that's a simple fix other than going to the Expose mechanic itself and saying, we're just going to reduce it across the board in all areas. It's like, what? No, that's not how you do it.
And it just makes it worse because it's not like even the nude and the Jawa stuff. Like I gave them a hard time, but I understood it because you're using low level things and it came out really late.
Things
and it's not a combination. People would
certain
test.
Things you kind of look at and you go, yeah. I can
understand it.
You know, like the Xylo Ray back in the day, the escape mechanic. You know, that was not intended, and you're just like, yeah, I got you. I understand, CG. That's a BS.
But Jedi training Ray, and then the worst part was they came out in the statement that was like, we want people to utilize out of the meta teams in order to beat this. Like, really? So you wanted out of the meta team so badly that you didn't even figure out that Jedi training Ray dominated it. Like they're shooting themselves in their own foot while they're trying to give explanations. It's just really.
It's just mind-boggling. All right, next question, Finidito.
All right, next question is from Vito Anto. It says, for Ranger, my guild's Hot Ski Patrol had the pleasure of facing the Mighty Chlorians 2 guild. How bad are we going to get slaughtered?
Is that who we're facing this time?
He said the Hot Ski Patrol is facing Mighty Chlorians 2. TOO.
Not my guild, but Mighty Chlorians just in general.
Is there another Mighty Chlorians that's called like Mighty Chlorians 2 TOO?
I don't know if he meant Mighty Chlorians. No, I think we're MC2, just the number 2.
Oh,
let me look.
Let me look.
I'm looking. I hadn't really looked.
Don't go into the territories and reveal stuff.
I'm not gonna go in the goddamn. Shut up.
Well,
Phil.
I mean, he might be happy, but I'm just saying.
I don't do that. Didn't even do it when I did in TI. Apparently, bad thing. Didn't show a damn thing. Let's look. It's loading. It's taking forever. Find out who we're facing. I didn't even look. I've been trying to scramble, just working with what Shills and my guilds are saying. So we are facing. No, we're facing the Alliance Beta. So it must be another one.
Yeah, it must be.
I'm not sure which number it is.
But out of Pride
guild, so you're facing MC1.
There's only 2 of you guys?
No, there's 7 guilds in total. But he's saying this the top one, so top guild. They're 142 million.
Yeah.
Boy.
Oh, he meant to type top, not two.
Yeah. Good luck.
Yeah, the way they do these matchups, that's awful. All we can say is they changed it now to the point where if you try to micromanage the offense in order to maximize your score, you're going to burn out. Just have fun. Try to have fun with this.
I'm totally just, I'll do what I do. It's broke.
Like there's like guilds where people are afraid to attack because if they don't beat it on their first try, like they feel like they're letting their guild down and stuff. Like it's bad.
It's really bad.
It's they flubbed up big time on this.
Yes, they did.
Okay, next question is from Keyboard the Planet Eater.
She's hungry?
She's always hungry.
Right.
And the question is, what are the heroic rewards for Sith Raid like?
I haven't seen, so I don't know.
So this is something I had to show a few people. Do you know how to get to the rewards for heroic while you have a Sith Raid open?
We don't have a Sith Raid open, so I can't open it up right now. So.
Oh, okay. Yours is closed.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I can still. 6, so.
Okay, so I can still show you if you want to run through it as I'm telling you kind of how to get to it.
Well, in general, I don't want to go through every single reward.
It's pretty simple.
Yeah.
No, just to show you how to get to it. Because if you have a raid open, right, you can't go the normal way. You can't just go to the raid and then click on the rewards because you have a raid open. So if you're in like a tier 5 or a tier 6, you won't be able to see heroic.
Oh, I know what you're saying. Let me.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there is a way
I got you what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I think she's asking what have the drops been, not what the possible things are.
No. To how to get to what the drops can be. Like the reward screen where it tells you like rank 1 gets something, rank 2 gets something, and all that.
Rewards. So
yeah,
12 shares.
So if you have a raid open, it doesn't let you look at the rewards in other tiers, but there is a way around it.
Heroic, yeah, you just look right here.
Yeah. So what you do is you go to a character in your collection. One that has a Gear 12 piece either needed or a Gear 12 piece already equipped.
Yeah.
Right? Then you click on that gear piece, and then you click on Find. So you'll list all of the different places that they can get that Gear 12 piece. And then you click on, it'll actually have one of the sources as the Heroic Sith Triumvirate raid.
Ah, gotcha.
So when you click on that, it'll actually take you to the tab for the Heroic raid, regardless of whether or not you have a Sith Raid open. So you can always look at the Heroic. You can also look at the lower tiers, but you have to find a gear piece that's in one of the boxes. So it's a little different, but Gear 12 is easier to find for people because you just go to like one of the first characters in your collection. And you just click on the Gear 12 piece, click on Find, and then just click on Heroic Sith Triumvirate raid, and you'll be able to see the tier 7 rewards no matter what tier you have actually open.
I'm clicking the tier 12 and Gear 12, and it's not letting me. Let's try R2.
You have to make sure you go to the salvage piece or whatever, the little piece.
It says craft. So let me say find.
Yeah, because if you're at a craft screen, you have to go one more into it, right? So you have to go to the mini piece, the gold piece within the crafted item. So if you click the multi-tool on Jedi Training Ray,
I am.
Then you have to click on the other yellow piece that's next to it, right? So you need 2 items.
Okay, I got you. I'm tired.
Yeah.
So
now once you click on the
tier 6, fill in the Sith Raid Heroic. Let's go there. Aha! There it is.
And that will open up regardless of whether or not you have a Sith Raid open or not. So if you want to know what the rewards are for tier 7, what the rewards are for tier 6, like the shards and all of that kind of stuff, you can go directly there. If you're asking for what exactly dropped from the Heroic, we had a few people. I think Ewakin posted it in the RSG Discord yesterday when they got their rewards, and I think Grande probably has it screenshotted as well when they beat it. So we can get that to you. But if you're just looking for general what kind of things can drop, you can always access it through that tab.
All right. Next question.
All right. Next question is from Xylo Takedown Swuggo.
That's right, because he has his own channel.
YouTube channel. Yep. And his question is, do you guys like better overall the Zeta lead Emperor Palpatine, Jedi training Rey, and elaborate? I have roll with the punches on Zeta and BB-8, and I'm still not sure who I should Zeta next.
Palpatine. Palpatine.
That's interesting. Because he said he already has a Zeta on roll with the punches with BB-8. That's the only reason.
Yeah, JTR, I mean, if you had the Zeta on JTR, then yeah, you would do a JTR. But I mean, Palpatine, though, is the meta. Unless you have a CLS Titan team ready to rock and roll with Rex. I mean, I go in there with my Gear 12 Titan team with Rex and just kick the crap out of it. But it's like, if you don't have that and you're doing JTR, then... I mean, if you can do Emperor Palpatine to get a Sith team going, I mean, the more teams you have viable for Arena, the better with Zetas, but I don't know, you did roll with punches.
So at least with Tier 6, I've been using my Jedi Training Rey. I have no Zetas on Jedi Training Rey. I have no Zetas on BB-8, and they're not very well geared. I think they're all like Gear 8. BB-8 is Gear 9. Jedi Training Rey is Gear 8. I was still able to do like 1.6 million. So... Jedi Training Rey, at least for Tier 6, is still viable without it. You're probably going to need the Zeta for Heroic, but I have no Zetas, was able to do over 1 million with Jedi Training Rey, so, and Emperor Palpatine is better for Arena. So I tend to agree with you. It would be Emperor Palpatine. It's just the Zeta on BB-8. You already have one of the other like 2 Zetas you really need in order to make Jedi Training Rey really go. You don't really need any other Zetas with Emperor Palpatine. Vader doesn't really need one. Nihilus doesn't need one. Thrawn doesn't need one. General Kenobi doesn't need one. So you're able to kind of... What was that?
He doesn't have one.
Yeah, I know. That's my point. So except for Emperor Palpatine lead, you can basically formulate an entire squad that's viable for Arena with a single Zeta. Jedi Training Rey, you really do need the other Zetas to make more viable. They can still beat some teams, don't get me wrong, but like a simple Night Sister team can beat a Jedi Training Rey if they don't have Zetas. So,
word.
All right. Next question is from Keyboard the Planet Eater. And Ranger, I'll let you do this while I check my territory war a little bit since we have only a few minutes left to fill everything. Keyboard the Planet Eater wants to know, did Cozy Spoon quit or is it a rumor?
I don't know if she quit. I think she's just in another position. I don't know the details about what happened with Cozy Spoon. She's just not the community manager anymore, but she still has other titles in the company. I just think she just moved on to something else. I don't have any, that's just speculation because I don't know. So, I mean...
CG Leviathan ate her. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's like Game of Thrones. You have to kill the person that was in the position in order to create. So she ate Cozy Spoon. That's why I think Leviathan still says game capital Game of Thrones.
Capital Game of Thrones.
I cracked myself up. Okay, next question is from Paul Bracamonte, and the question is, how does the gap in what we have to fight in the Sith raid compare to the release of the past raids?
Rancor was the Rancor. It didn't take us long. Heroic AT was a different animal. I think it took about a month before someone finally got that sucker cleared. If I remember, I don't remember. It's been a while since Heroic launched. What, 2016? Was it?
Yeah.
So
here's kind of the big difference. There's too many light side in the game, and I know that's been said a lot, right? But in general, it's not always, but in general, the light side is a very much self-buff oriented faction. Dark side is very much a debuff faction. So you see a lot more dots, and you see like fracture, and you see those kind of things a lot more from dark side. You see a lot more stuff like heals over time and foresight and that kind of stuff on the light side. They increased the tenacity and the tenacity for turn meter reduction and all of that kind of stuff in this raid, right? Which makes dark side a little bit harder to utilize. So you see a lot more light side teams. But the issue is that we have so much freaking light side in the game that is really easy to find a combination of things that can work out. And so, to me, it seems like the mechanics are on par with heroic AAT. The problem is, well, not problem, but the way they designed it is that they just increase the hit points and they reduce the number of characters that can really be utilized. I don't think there's much in terms of difficulty, to be honest. I think it's mainly just you can't use your full roster. Like, you can't use your resistance because your exposes don't stick.
Right.
You can't use Emperor Palpatine.
Well, we need to
you can't
expose.
use Vader. Yeah, we know. Yeah, there's the whole Jedi training raid thing. But in general, you don't get it consistent enough for the Finn team. You don't need it as consistently for the Jedi training Rey.
Right.
But you can't really use dot teams. So you can't use Vader. You can't use Wampa.
That's
You use
awful.
a lot of teams. You can't really use Emperor Palpatine because you can't really get the shocks to stick. So there's a lot of restrictions on the Sith raid that I think is more contributing to what appears to be the difficulty, more so than the actual difficulty of the raid. So I think they didn't make it, I hate saying this at this point, but I don't think they made it difficult enough.
Yeah, that's a valid point. Light side got left, dark side got right.
Leroy Jenkins.
Listen, because you didn't know what to do, it's a 50 DKP minus.
Man, I miss DKP.
I know, it's so great.
I'm so glad we don't have to do a DKP system in order to, like, separate loot in this. That would be so horrendous.
More dots. Come on, more dots.
Who has the DKP to buy the droid collar?
Hit it like you mean it.
Who wants the bid?
Hit it harder. Fin to the middle. Grind it to the middle. Tits to the middle. What the hell are you doing in the middle?
Darth Hideous makes a good point, though. It's not a question, but he mentioned how many folks, besides the one that are mad, right? How many people just don't care anymore?
A lot.
You're not going to see them, right, in the forums or anything like that.
Yeah.
They're just not going to say anything.
They just don't care. They're just like, you know what? I'm not spending money. I'll play the game, blah, blah, blah. But
And we said this before. I think a lot of people are playing this game, and I'll include myself in that.
Just
They're
for the
not doing it for
community.
the game. They're doing it for the community.
Yeah,
They're
we
doing
have
it because
fun.
they like their guild. Whatever it is, I don't think it's the game that's keeping people together anymore. I think the less mistakes they make, the less it contributes to people wanting to quit. So the game is basically trying to keep itself from making people quit at this point. I don't think it's... I see some videos of new players starting, and they're having fun with it, which is fine, until they're going to get to end game
Like Baby
content.
Ranger.
And then it's gonna change. Baby Ranger was having way too much fun yesterday. He was bouncing on the little shelf.
mm-hmm.
I think it was Ouchie that said she liked the little popsicle stick up his butt.
Little diaper Baby Ranger with a stick up his butt.
All right. Next question from Two Fingers. And the question is, the next Zeta, should it be Thrawn unique, Emperor Palpatine unique, or Scion unique? I am running an Emperor Palpatine Zeta lead.
Boy, you know that Zeta on Palpatine's unique does help a lot with his squishiness.
It does, but you're using a Zeta for 9,000 protection. That's pretty much it.
Well,
there's not really much form of recovery on that team.
Well, all right,
you have
so
one four-turn
Thrawn's
cooldown.
unique does what?
It's like 40%, I think. Let me double check right now, but I think it's like 40% once every 4 turns or something. 3 turns and 40%.
Right.
But if you're facing Emperor Palpatine teams, right, you're dispelling it, and you're dispelling debuffs when you transfer,
Right.
and that's just going to give the other team turn meter.
Right.
I mean, you still get the protection. That's going to happen regardless.
Science sneak, let me look at that. I haven't really...
I mean, honestly, none. I would say none of them.
No, I wouldn't either.
Thrawn's unique isn't necessary. Emperor Palpatine's unique is not necessary. It's, I think, the better of the 3 that you listed. Scion is not going to pan out the way I think people have wanted. He isn't fast enough. He's easily stopped with any kind of buff immunity.
It's not bad. So Sion has 100% defense and 100% tenacity against enemies with pain. At the start of each enemy's turn, if they have pain, Sion gains
too slow to get off the pain.
At the end of each turn, Sion inflicts pain for 3 turns on enemies who damage him on that turn. When allied Dartrea or Darth Nihilus are critically hit, reduce health by Matrix cooldown by 1.
It'll be better later.
It'll be better later with
honestly, I would save it.
Yeah, I'd save it.
Yeah, I don't think you really need it. It ends up being a speed match anyways if you're doing Emperor Palpatine versus Palpatine. The unique
if you're going to do it, I'd still think Palpatine's unique is the one I would spend it on.
Of the 3, Emperor Palpatine's
that one makes
unique.
the most sense, and I think it's I'll just agree.
I don't know what the rest of his collection is to know whether or not there's a better character in his roster.
Yeah, but I like Palpatine's unique. It's not a bad Zeta, and it just helps. So I mean, protection on Palp, always good.
It is definitely far from an awful Zeta. It's just not like a top tier one. I would probably say it's like a second or third tier. I just don't know if you have any of the first tier ones available, if you don't have the characters ready. So it's a little, within those 3, agree, Emperor Palpatine unique. But I would think hard before doing that one and see if you have anything else that can benefit your roster, especially with things like Dark Side Territory Battle, Light Side Territory Battles. The fact that, and I think Ranger, you mentioned this yesterday too, Arena really isn't a one-team thing anymore. It really helps to have multiple teams that are ready. So there may be another Zeta that may help you for beating other teams. Like if you're facing Jedi Training Rey, Emperor Palpatine can win. It's not the easiest one, but maybe you want to throw it on a Night Sister team, and that can help you on Dark Side Territory Battles or something like that. Mm-hmm. So I would just make sure that it is a level tier that you want to Zeta on, because they're all Scion I think is actually a little bit lower right now without Traya in the game, but I think Thrawn and Emperor Palpatine are kind of similar in terms of what tier they are. They're useful. They're not, I think, crucial for either of them, but I think Emperor Palpatine is a little better.
Yeah.
All right. Next question is from King Castern. So he said he's finishing up a farm in Cantina. After, I'm looking to do either the Vets or Kylo Ren Unmasked. Who should I go for first? Leaning Vets, as I don't want to miss Jedi Training Rey again.
I mean, hell yeah.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I agree with your thought process.
Listen, you're going to get me and Chewie and farm them up. I don't want to hear any crap about it.
I can't remember when I mentioned this, because I mentioned it to whoever asks about it. But when you're farming the Vets, try to save up crystals as well. Mm-hmm. And don't take 1 to 7-star and then the other 1 to 7-star. Take each one to like 1-star level and then go to the next. Because if it gets to the point where all of a sudden, let's say Jedi Training Rey is coming out next month, you probably need to spend some crystals if you're not ready on buying their shards from shipments. And if you're doing that, you don't want to end up in a situation where like only Han is showing up and your Han is already 7-star and you need Chewie shards or something. Mm-hmm. So alternate them up at around the same level. Keep them so you can always buy a shard purchase from the shipments if you need to. You shouldn't need to unless it's like coming very down to the wire. And just level them up that way and alternate between one or the other. When I was leveling them up to actually get them, for whatever reason, I found that my RNG was a lot better if I alternated days. So one day I would do Chewie, and then the next day I would do Han, and then Chewie and Han, and back and forth. It wasn't even to star levels. I was literally just alternating days, and I found that my shard numbers actually went up, because for whatever reason, if I did Chewie like 3 days in a row, like the first day I would get a good number of shards, like 8 or 9 or something. And then the next day I'd get like 3, and then the next day I'd get like 2, and it's like crap. But then if I alternated, my Chewie would get like 8, then my Han would get like 8, then I may get like a 6, but then I would get a 10 on Han. It became a lot more consistent once I started alternating like all the way. So, and that's really just speculation, don't get me wrong, but I would continue to alternate.
All right, next question.
Doc Aryak. With it to Zeta Emperor Palpatine for dark side? Is it worth it to Zeta Emperor Palpatine for dark side territory battles? Territory wars, since no one uses STR. I don't know STR. I just use Jedi Training Ray and Arena. I don't know what STR is.
I don't either. Say that one more time.
So, is it worth it to Zeta Emperor Palpatine for dark side territory battles and territory?
So. Yeah.
It's an interesting question, though, because they do. Well, I guess I answered my own question and thinking about it. All the rebels dispel, right? So if you can get buffs on them and they dispel themselves, then your entire team is going to get turned here. So yeah, I think it is worth it to Zeta Palpatine. Now that I think more about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So yes. And the next question, I think, is probably going to take a little longer. Yeah. Then Alan, I said, there is no mathematical thing at all. It's just the way that it worked out, so I just kept doing with it. It was completely superstitious. It is not mathematical in any kind of way. It's just the way that it worked. So, I mean, if you find something that's working for you, you can do it too. It's just I noticed it consistently with my farming. And Alan is saying that it's not a conspiracy. It's just coincidence. I'm not saying it's a conspiracy. It's just the way that it worked out for me. So... see what works for you. It seems like everyone has a little bit of a different thing that helps their drop rates. Otherwise, RNG kind of kills you. And it sucks when you're farming. Just so you know, I was against the time, right, to get Jedi Training Raid the first time. I had a spreadsheet on how many shards I was supposed to get versus how many I did get. And I just kind of continued all the way through. And I was dropping shards every day while I was doing like only one character every day, and when I alternated, I actually caught back up. So it was something I noticed. It's just not it's not mathematical because it's obviously just a very small sample size. Oh, and MK Sun 00 says STR equals Sith Triumvirate Raid.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so reading the question again, is it worth it to Zeta Emperor Palpatine for dark side territory battles and territory wars, since there's no use of it in the Sith Triumvirate Raid, and I still use Jedi Training Raid and Arena? There we go.
Doesn't hurt.
Mm-hmm. I think Emperor Palpatine is a beast in territory wars, to be honest.
Huge. Territory wars and territory battles, he's a beast with that. And get your Sith team up with Emperor Palpatine, then you can do something besides JTR, and you have more teams for Arena. So, yeah, I would do it.
All right, and then last question.
Okay.
Fatality V2. So I think they should completely pull territory wars and rework it. Do you think CG would ever do this? What are your thoughts?
No. Oh, Finn. Oh, these questions. No.
I don't know.
I'm joking.
If they revert territory wars at the next week, right? So we have dark side territory battles.
They're not doing that. So don't even try, Finn.
No, but I'm throwing what if. I don't think they're going to. What if
in an alternate reality kind of thing? Sure. Yeah. I mean, anything's possible. I mean, I could walk through a wall mathematically. I
don't think I could.
Well, mathematically speaking,
Mathematically, I'm still too fat. I need to lose more weight.
The Twinkie maker's not helping. Did you hear all the responses last night to the Twitter thing, Finn?
Yeah, I went back and I actually checked on Twitter. I didn't hear it on the stream. I still need to listen to the stream, but yeah. But here's the thing from a business perspective, which is probably why the answer is going to be no. You know that they put a lot of time into into all of these territory war changes. All of the suggestions that they eventually just kind of merged into one giant crap solution was all suggestions made during the first couple territory wars. So basically we can assume that from that time period, they started working on all of these different suggestions. So this is several weeks of work that they put into a solution that we do not like. So it is much more likely that they are going to modify this within the next week than they are to do a pull of it and then redo it. Unfortunately, I wish they would pull it and just put in a true tie-break system, but I don't see that happening at this point. Right. There's too much effort into it at this point, and I'm going back to my original point about the state of this game. The management of this game is not good. They're not going to do something that draws a spotlight to the fact that they were inept in creating a solution to a problem. So they're not going to pull it. They're going to look for a way in order to reduce the negative impact that it's having on the community. So I do not expect it. And the only way I would expect them to do a poll is if somebody from like EA or CG or really goes like somebody in management that's making the decisions that, yeah, putting all of these things at once is a brilliant decision. Unless they like fire that person and bring in somebody else that's like, yeah, no, this is all stupid. Let's just go back to the way it was and start from square one. It's not going to happen. If they keep the same personnel, there's almost no chance that they're going back.
That's my giggle.
Mm-hmm.
The giggle.
It would be pretty neat, though. It would be a huge admission of problem.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. No, he didn't. All right, so I think we're going to stop the stream there. If you have more questions, come into our Discord. If you're listening to this afterwards, you can check us out on YouTube, of course. Listen to us on YouTube. If you want to listen, just download us. You go to the iTunes store and you can listen to us as a podcast. That's kind of one of the neat features we have. Make sure you like and subscribe. We always appreciate that. It helps the channel grow, helps our videos get out there more, just supports our content and supports the community that we've created. Anything else I need to pimp, Finn? What do we got going on? Anything tonight you got playing maybe?
We might do Affinity's ADD Gaming tonight with, not sure yet, either Diablo 3 or Borderlands, maybe even both. It might be one of the first merged Affinity's ADD Gaming session where we play both games.
Oh, so, Lord, I'm going to go take a nap.
So, yeah. So keep an eye out on that. Make sure you hit the subscribe and the bell so you'll get notifications if we do go live. So, yeah.
All right. I think that covers everything. And if you want to donate and support the channel afterwards, we got the support the channel button on the homepage of YouTube. And, oh, yeah, we have the Amazon wish list.
We still need to build out the rest of you guys.
I know. All we got on there right now is just stuff like...
We have one for the RSG, the actual like RSG group that'll help the stream. But we need to get your personal one. We need to get Grande's personal. We need to get Tits and Loki.
I think mine is...
I have mine up.
I think my personal one is the RSG one.
No, you'll have some other stuff that you'll want.
No, I don't want to do that. I want stuff that I can use for the stream. I don't give a crap about personal crap. Oh, yeah.
I didn't either, but I put a Twinkie maker.
Create one for me and put the Dash Rendar figure on there.
Okay.
And diapers,
I'll find it out.
And make this in diapers for King Felix, but you'll need to get his address so we can get that sent to him.
That also becomes more complicated because you have to mail it. Each wish list has its own. I don't want
diapers sent here, Finn. Damn it, get with King Felix. Damn it, Finn.
No, I know, but we have to make like another wish list for King Felix. So
yeah, baby stuff.
Yeah, we'll make a baby stuff for like King Felix.
He's having a new baby coming here in a couple months, and we'll create a wish list for old King Felix if you'd like to help.
What if we make it for him if he names the baby RSG?
He's not going to do that. His wife would.
But actually, spell it out.
I don't want his wife murdering me, Finn. No, hell no.
ARESGG. GEE.
I do not want death in my future, Finn. No. I'm gonna mess around with a pregnant woman naming her child. Are you crazy? You're a doctor.
We're not messing with the pregnant woman. We're messing with Felix to see if he really wants those diapers.
He did say that if we get him diapers, he will write RSG and put the Baby Ranger on the diapers.
So every time the baby pees, she pees on
right. Baby Ranger on the front going, hey.
I think the videos of that would be more amusing than Twinkie Maker videos. Right. Watch as a baby pees on Baby Ranger.
He doesn't need to pee himself. He has other people do it on him.
Worst Huggies commercial
I'm gonna piss
ever.
On you. All right, we've gone mental. All right, everybody have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you tonight, hopefully for the next stream for the fun stuff. And then stay tuned. We got some stuff coming down the pipe. Hopefully good news, and it'll be a nice little surprise for y'all. So everyone be safe, and we'll holler at you later.